I used to have such a hard time just letting things go because I thought in some way I'm gonna need them in the future. And I didn't. All I needed was me.
Hi guys, welcome back to my channel.
Just before we get started, I think it's appropriate to burn some sage. Cleanse your surroundings and yourself. Now that we've done that, thank you for coming back to my channel. If you're new, welcome to my channel. Hi guys, I wanted to talk about something today that has just been on my mind. Of course, you know, I am striving to break generational curses, break childhood traumas, just healing internally and becoming a better person and the person that I'm supposed to be, and just not letting my past control my present or my future. What I want to talk about in this video mostly is just people who are like me, people who, especially in relationships and not even romantic relationships, in any kind of relationships with people where maybe they get anxious, or maybe they have a lot of anxiety, or maybe they just kind of don't ever stand up for themselves and they're all about just giving to everyone else and never giving to themselves. This is something that I did, something that I sometimes do when I slip off and I'm having to like check myself. So I just kind of want to talk about certain pinpoints, which one is boundaries, 2 is speaking up for yourself, and the third one is standing your ground. Meaning whenever you do these first 2 things, you have to stand and you have to mean it. You have to say it with strength in your voice, and you have to demand it, and you have to stand behind it. Because if you say something, if you set a boundary, or if you express how you're feeling and the person doesn't react the way in your mind you thought they were going to react to make this whole interaction easier, then you kind of back down, put your tail behind your legs, and you're like, oh, no, it's okay. It's okay. I don't want you to be upset. That my reason wasn't for you to get upset, so just never mind. Forget the whole thing. No, we're not doing that. Because I did that. I did that for a long time. And sometimes I used to blame past relationships for it, my family relationships for it. And it's really not about it. Because like every relationship that I've had has taught me something so important that I use in my day-to-day life right now. There's a relationship that I had where I thought was just a complete waste of time. I just thought I just thought it was a complete waste of time. I thought, dang, why did I go through this? Like, this was so unnecessary. I put myself through so much unnecessary pain and hurt. Like, it didn't make any sense to me, like, why I did it and why I did it for as long as I did it. But then now, like, looking back, and I was like, oh man, that relationship taught me a lot. And then I started thinking about other relationships, like, man, those relationships taught me a lot. But I wasn't able to see the lessons behind those relationships until I separated myself from them. So the same way, like when you're in love, love is blind. You can't kind of see what's going on when you're in a relationship or anything like that, or in a situation. Again, it doesn't always have to be relationships. And sometimes outside people can kind of see what's wrong a little bit more than you can see what's wrong, because you're kind of blinded by everything that you're feeling. Especially if you're somebody that's an empath or kind of has a lot of feelings, somebody that kind of suffers from anxiety and stuff like that, because overthinkers, you know what I'm saying? So it's kind of hard to see stuff as they are when they're right in front of you. So me, I was the kind of person that had a hard time letting things go. A hard time letting things go. Things that happened to me, people, situations, objects even. I used to have such a hard time just letting things go because I thought in some way I'm gonna need them in the future. And I didn't. All I needed was me. Now, is setting boundaries difficult? Yes, it is. Very, very hard. Whenever I set a boundary, I feel guilty. So every time I set a boundary, and if the other person responded in a negative way, like if they didn't give me any positive feedback about it, then I would just be like, okay, never mind. Maybe I was wrong. I'm sorry I didn't see it your way. Here, you want stuff? You want my love? You want my attention? Take it. Take it. Just forget about what I said, even though it's what I need. Because a lot of people say, don't worry about what you want, worry about what you need. But fuck that. I'm gonna say that, fuck that. I want something, I'm gonna have it, because life is way too short. And I'm not gonna sacrifice the things that I want and the things that I need for someone else's comfort. No. There's a difference between compromising and just completely giving in to what another person wants or needs and just sacrificing all of yours for theirs. Absolutely not. So setting boundaries, it is a hard one. I understand. Expressing yourself and your feelings. It's really important to express yourself however it may come out. For my overthinkers, sometimes when we realize that we want to express a feeling or something that we want or need, we think about it for days. How are we gonna say it? Maybe we write it down even to try to reenact it, see how it's gonna play out. You think about what the other person can say. You think about what you're gonna say, how it's gonna sound. You think about different tones on how it's gonna come out. Maybe you erase some words, maybe you add some words. Maybe these words aren't gonna come out as nice. Maybe these words will hit a little softer. Whatever you want to say, just say it. Because they're your feelings. You know what I'm saying? Maybe some people talk a little harder than other people. Maybe some people talk a little bit softer than other people. No matter what spectrum you're on, it doesn't fucking matter. Because if you're trying to communicate what you're feeling to someone, especially someone who you love and is supposed to love you, then they're supposed to also be open to communicating. And maybe they can get upset about it, because that's okay too. It's okay to argue. It's not unhealthy or toxic to have an argument with somebody. But that's where communication and understanding come together. And you both have to want to communicate and understand the other person. So don't worry so much about what the other person is going to think, what the other person is going to say, and just say what you're feeling when you're feeling it. Because if you keep overthinking it, you're gonna end up talking. I thought that was a bug on the floor. It's just that, I got scared. You're gonna end up talking yourself out of saying anything. That is something that I do as well. So it kind of looks like this. For my people who talk a little bit more bluntly, a little bit more straightforward and rough, you're gonna talk yourself out of it because you're gonna think that what you're saying is negative just because of the way that you talk, the way that you think. And that's simply not true. No matter if you're saying it away or not, if you want to change that, then that's just something that you have to work on. But if this is just the way that you talk and you're just kind of a straightforward person, the other person, I'm sure, is aware of that. And again, communication, understanding should just be what follows. But sometimes, people like us, especially if we tend to upset people with the things that we say, we think about it for so long that we talk ourselves out of it, and we're just like, it's not worth it. It's not worth it. It's not worth it. And for my other people who talk a little bit softer, maybe a little bit more quiet and timid, they end up talking themselves out of it because I feel personally, in my opinion, that they think maybe it's just not as important, because a lot of people end up, just kind of brushing what you say under the rug because, again, you're not saying it with confidence. You're kind of just like saying it like if it's just, like it's just not important. It's just kind of something you wanted to talk about and it was like, okay, and then we move on to the next subject. Maybe that's something that has happened to you in the past, but no matter how you say something, what you're saying is important. Even if you're talking about your favorite type of cookie, whatever you're saying is important. It's important to you, and whoever you're associated with, it should be important to them as well. And if somebody doesn't think how you feel and what you say and what you do is important, then maybe they're just not the person for you. I want to be fully obsessed and love myself with all that I have. And I want somebody to share that love that I have for myself with me. I don't want anyone to change me. I don't want anyone to tell me what I can do better or what I can be more of or what I can be less of. I just want someone to share my love of me with me. And I want to share their love of them with them. And if we end up growing together and changing together, sometimes we grow and change intertwine with each other and we can grow together. Or maybe we grow apart and change and go our separate ways. Either one of these options are okay. Because not only do you have to sometimes let people go, you have to sometimes let your old stuff go as well. And lastly, standing behind these two things. When you say something and you express yourself, I want to say it's okay to change your mind. I don't want you to think that once you say something, it is set in stone and you can't change it and you have to be like this forever. I say, if you're in a conversation with someone, maybe it's a heated one, maybe it's not, and the other person says something that's like, well, that corresponds with how I view things. And maybe I wasn't thinking in that way. Or I didn't consider that when I was thinking about my own thoughts or feeling my own feelings. So I'm now going to take what you said and I'm going to use that in my own life. And that again is communication and understanding. Now, if you say something and the other person just completely disagrees with what you're saying, whether it's a boundary or your feelings or anything that you decide to express with this person, and you guys cannot come down to any agreement. They don't agree with you, you don't agree with them. This doesn't have to be a make it or break it. Sometimes it is. Sometimes me personally, there's some things that if we just don't agree on, I don't see how I can ever have any type of life with you. But no matter what happens, no matter if they completely agree with you or if they don't, whether you guys stay together or you don't, stand behind what you say. Do not shy away from confrontation or arguments. You'd be surprised what good will come from it. I've had to do a couple of things when trying to practice this in life, and with people that I was kind of scared. I'm not gonna lie, I was kind of scared. I was like, dang, because I did this or because I needed this, am I going to lose this person? Am I going to put myself in a worse off situation? Am I going to just completely regret ever bringing any of this up? And the answer was always unclear before it happened, during it, and sometimes even after. But now thinking about that, my past, and thinking about myself now in my present, every time I was always so scared of saying something or always scared of demanding something or requiring something or setting a boundary. I cannot think of one time that I did it that it has affected me negatively now in my life, or that I've regretted it completely. Just like, oh my God, that was the worst thing I've ever did. Never. Maybe it was unclear and uncertain on what would happen during that time. And maybe what happened after I thought was bad. But again, now thinking about it, it's not. There was a person that I had such a hard time letting go of. I don't know what it was about it. I don't know what it was. I don't know what it was. But the person, they weren't good for me. I knew that. Yet I just had a hard time letting them go. And just one day, I did. It was random. I gave no warning. And I had no warning even. It was just kind of, I let it go. I let it go slowly and also all at once. And it was hard. I still thought about them all the time. I still wondered what they were doing. I still, all this extra stuff. But now I'm so grateful for that whole situation. I'm grateful even for the person, meeting them. learning from them. But I'm so much better and happier letting them go. And that's how I feel about so much in life. Sometimes the best things for you are the hardest things to do. And that is the truth. The best things for you are the hardest things to do and to go through. I just saw a TikTok where this girl was like, in the new year, I know the type of person that I want to be. I know the person that I'm meant to be. I know what I want, but I know how much work and how tiring and exhausting and how hard it is going to be to achieve that level that I want to get to. And she was also like, I know how disappointed my future self is going to be if I don't put that work in now to get to that goal. It is most likely definitely going to be hard. But even when you're not reaching for your goals, aren't they as hard anyways? The whole thing about it is that both paths are going to be difficult. You're either going to struggle every day to not reach your goals, or you're going to struggle every day to reach your goals. You are in control of your destiny more than you think. Best way that I can think about it to ground myself, because the world is so big. The world is so big and you can sometimes feel so small and so unimportant. But the way that I think about it to make myself just to ground myself more and to center my energy, the one thing that I think about is that there's so many ways that you can die. It might be weird, but this is what helps me. There's so many ways that you can die. But yet you've been waking up every day with breath, with life, an opportunity, and you've been wasting it because all you're thinking about is the little stresses in life. Every day is a blessing and a miracle to be alive. So the fact that you're wasting these miracles not on yourself, for one, and letting other people control your life and how you feel and what you want and how you're living, I think is a complete disservice to you. So do something today that's going to make yourself, your future tomorrow self, proud. Whether that's nothing at all or whether that's absolutely everything. Whether it's something big or whether it's something small. And that helps me with life. And it helps me with, again, setting boundaries and speaking up for myself. You may think, how do those things connect? But if I think about how much of a blessing and a miracle every day is, I'd be like, this is a one in a lifetime chance. Today is a one in a lifetime chance. So why wouldn't I ask for what I want? Why wouldn't I demand what I need? And why wouldn't I stand my ground and say, it's this or it's nothing? Or it's this, but I'm open to suggestions. I'm open to changes. I'm opening to better myself. Compromising is different than giving in. Just remember the difference. Stand behind what you say and say everything as if it is the most important thing in the world, because everything that you say is important, especially when it comes to your own boundaries and especially when it comes to your feelings. So that was just a little something that I wanted to talk about today. It was probably a lot something. I don't know how long this video is going to be. I'm going to have to edit it and cut out so many things. I already know it. Probably even this. But I think it's important to just give a friendly reminder. And it's something that I wanted to share also about my own life. So, until next time, I love you guys so much. Bye.